The myth begins with the waters of Nu spreading out in every direction. Then a tomb rose up on the primordial mound. But wait a minute. The language of myth sounds so dated and alien to our modern minds. So listen to this short story and see if it starts to make more sense. Imagine yourself as a small child in the middle of summer in ancient Egypt, looking out over an endless expanse of water that's covered up and erased all those places where you had played with your friends. The fields where you helped your father sow the wheat. The places you and your mother took the sheep to graze. All of it gone, annihilated by this constantly swelling body of water. Then a few months later, an eternity to the child's mind, a tiny bit of earth rose above the surface, and the whole village would cry out with joy. This isn't a myth, it's an account of the annual flood, a physical manifestation of Nu that was very real and would repeat itself every year. Almost every creation myth begins with the vast primordial waters spreading out in every direction. And within these waters, all possibilities lie in a yet unmanifest state. It's like a giant pregnant possibility. And in the Iunu myth, these waters are called Nu. The hieroglyph for Nu is a simple round bowl. A bowl serves to contain, nothing more, and its contents remain hidden, unseen and unknowable from the outside, which is why the great sages chose it to represent Nu. Many statues and reliefs show the king kneeling before a netter while holding two round bowls. Kneeling is a gesture of humility and reverence. And since you can only offer what you already have or are, then what he's offering is himself as a totally pure vessel for the netter to work through. Thy will be done. Nu can be written with two hieroglyphs, the energy or wave symbol pronounced N, and a day-old quail chick pronounced U. The wave hieroglyph appears in the names of many netters involved with energy, and with Nu, that energy is in a state of potential, shown by the newly hatched chick. Often without being mentioned, Nu stands at the beginning of the myth, and indeed nothing could have come into existence without it. Such selfless anonymity is a reflection of Nu's invisible nature, which is perfectly expressed in the number 0. Indeed, when we think of numbers, we usually count from 1 to 9, skipping over the 0, so it's often overlooked or mistakenly thought of as nothing. Yet this number ideally sums up the non-manifest and represents selflessness or without ego. And while it has no value on its own, when placed after any other number, it increases that number's value 10 times. Notice too how the word number begins with Nu, because everything that exists was at one time suspended in its unfathomable mystery, in the inherent magic of the number 0. In the myth, Nu was not created, nor does it even appear, since it was already there. It simply is. And it has no restrictions, no limitations, and no possibilities for itself, because it is non-manifest. Confused? You must be, because Nu is the ultimate incomprehensible netter. Okay, so just what is the netta nu? Well, each netta manifests in three different realms: the universal, the nature, and within the body and psyche of man. In the universal realm, Nu is a cosmic law that represents the unlimited consciousness of the whole universe, the entire being of God, as it were. In nature, it marks the last phase of darkness before the unfolding of life itself. And in us humans, Nu is something like the collective unconscious, a virtual world of endless possibilities that lie in another dimension, inaccessible to our physical bodies, without, that is, the direct intervention of the nettas. In man, Nu is the creative faculty of imagination. But just what is your imagination? It's all the things you can conjure up in your head or your mind's eye that simply do not exist in any manifest form in the present moment. Yet they are there. You can clearly see them, touch them, smell them, but only within your cerebral faculties. The dream state is a perfect example of Nu, since neither time nor space pose any limitations, so things can happen in the past, present, or future anywhere in the universe. You can have conversations and experiences with people who are long dead, or you can have visions of a possible future, all as clear as day. Yet as you leave the dream state, they fade and dissolve, sometimes leaving a trace, sometimes not. That's one dimension of Nu. Yet in our waking state, whatever you subconsciously desire first comes as a vision or feeling. Suddenly you envision chocolate or the face of a friend. Out of nowhere you saw yourself greeting them or tasting the chocolate. Then when you feed the flame, you will follow through and call or go to meet that friend. Yet it all began with a vision from Nu. With a little more intention, Nu becomes the ideal netta for artists and mystics to dive into. It's the netta oracles or psychics use to receive messages directly from the source. By invoking Nu, they simply release the grip of rational mind and all things associated with the brain to enter into a state of absolute nothingness, the void, so that no obstacles may interfere with the purity of the message received. For artists, Nu is an endless source of inspiration that allows all of their artwork to come into being. Images or forms or words magically flow from their fingertips. Many ancient temples still retain a large dugout area that was filled with water from the Nile. Known as sacred lakes, the largest and best preserved of these is in Karnak complex. Although these lakes served several different functions, symbolically they represent the body of Nu, and their selfless, passive surface also acts as a giant mirror for Ra to see his reflection in. The mirror is also a perfect symbol for Nu, as it makes a non-manifest reflection of your own face appear to be manifest. So that was an introduction to Nu, the first netta revealed in the teaching of Iunu. And when you enjoyed today's presentation, please click the like and subscribe buttons, and you may also support the channel through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description below. You can also leave your comments or questions there, and as ever, thank you for watching.